JKB back with another episode. Today on the show I'm reviewing Drive-By. Thank you to the dev for the review copy. Drive-By is an action online driving party game which takes major inspiration from Rocket League and Mario Kart. The game has 4-player crossplay between the Nintendo Switch and PC, and the game has 3 different game modes at the moment. I'm hoping that they do update it because it is a little low in content. However, those modes are Delivery Battle, where you collect some packages and deliver them to people waiting in the streets. Then you've got Payday, where you simply collect coins and avoid the attacks from your enemies. And then you have Piggy Bank, which is probably my favorite. You pick up a pig on the map, which is a piggy bank, and as time goes by, you collect coins out of that piggy bank, and when you hit 1,000, you win the match. As for the map, it seems to be a giant square with buildings, and the roads go in and out of the buildings, of course, with a giant park, and sometimes there's a couple of bridge areas with some trees, but there's not too much going on here, and the map is probably the weakest part of the game. But in saying that, the best part of the game is the driving itself. It feels a lot like Rocket League to a certain degree. Of course, you can't flip your car around and spin it up in the air. It's all based on ground combat. Each of the cars and vans in the game, they control a little differently from one another, and of course you have a boost and a drift button, which are very important in this game. So in terms of the driving mechanics, it feels great playing this game. It's very heavily influenced by Mario Kart to a certain degree. That's with the weapons and sort of the way the car handles to a certain degree. I want you to think of it as a giant battle mode straight out of Mario Kart, but obviously a little bit more arcadey with its weapons and the actual gameplay mechanics. As for the weapons, you've got a whole bunch of them that are actually a lot of fun to use, and they are very different from one another. Starting with the sticky mine, which can be put onto the ground or placed on an enemy, which is perfect. You can also detonate these with one of the other attacks known as the shockwave power-up. You also have a rocket, which can be shot freely, so you have to kind of aim your shots up, and it's pretty cool landing a hit. The cars explode and basically get shot off the map. There's also a targeting system that takes a few seconds to kick in if you're facing your opponent. Once the missile's targeted on, you have to evade it by doing a drift or boosting out of the way. Next up is a shockwave attack, which basically will deflect rockets and disable cars that are near you. The last two are the magnet power-up, which lets you basically kind of pick up a car and swing it around and smash it about. You can get out of this attack by hitting a button, and then there's a freeze ray, which freezes your car and slides it into a wall. If you get hit by a turbo boost while you're frozen, your car will explode. I love both of these two items. There's also one other item, which is basically a coin that sits above your car, which will just give you extra points. There's also a customization setting where you're able to do everything that you can kind of do in Rocket League in this game as well, such as put skins on your cars and change your emotes and your avatar. That sort of stuff is in the game, and there is a shop, of course, so you get points from competing in the game and you can go spend it on stuff in the shop. Let me get into what I love about the game and what could be a little better. Overall, going into this game, I thought, oh, here we go, another online cross-play car combat game. We've seen them all before, and most of them come out and kind of fizzle away. This, though, has a couple of things that kind of make it a little different, in my opinion. And I don't know if everyone will agree with this, but the arcade feel of this feels amazing. I went into this game thinking, yeah, okay, whatever, I'm gonna have a good time for 2 minutes. And while most of the content can be seen in about 2 minutes, the game overall is a blast to play. Like I said, it's cross-play between the PC and the Nintendo Switch, so you'll never really run into the issue of not having players to play with. It's also couch co-op, up to 4 players, so that's cool for the Switch. You could play at the park. That's a big bonus. Now, the idea of putting Mario Kart power-ups into this was a great idea. All of the power-ups are amazing to use. I also must bring up the soundtrack. It is incredible 80s synthwave joy. I mean, it is incredible. If you could buy the soundtrack, I highly recommend it if you're into Stranger Things or anything out of the 80s. This music is unbelievable. If I had to score the music alone, it's a 10 out of 10. The music is incredible. Now, for the balancing in this game, that's something I wanted to talk about because these arcade games come and go all the time. Like I said before, it's very hard to make them a lot of fun, and the replay value needs to be there. Now, some people might argue the replay value in this game is not there yet, while I'll argue that it is still a blast to play with its simple mechanics, and the weapons and power-ups you use in the game are a blast to use. All of them are really good and unique. But, I mean, it is lacking a little bit of content, but I do have to say the developers here understand this genre in ways that are very rare. And I mean that in a sincere way. I don't mean to knock other games out there, but this developer understands what they're trying to do here. I mean, they have a great art design. I love the aesthetics of the game. The tone of the game with the soundtrack feels great. The arcadey vibe to it feels amazing. I think the game just is lacking a lot of content at the moment. As for the negatives of this game, the performance on the Nintendo Switch seems to be all over the place. At times, online matches were very laggy, but they weren't laggy in the sense that cars were lagging behind and skipping forward. It just seemed like the frame rate took a huge dip at times during the combat, and that was very disappointing, but it was still playable. I can't say that it was not playable because of the lag in the game, but I do have to point out that it is not running great on the Nintendo Switch, and at times it probably drops down to 20 frames or even less, and this is going to be an issue if it isn't fixed. Because you've got crossplay with the PC, this needs to be fixed, definitely fixed, before, this game catches on. So do I recommend you pick up Drive By? Well, at the current moment, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10 and say if more content comes to this game, it has a potential to be a runaway hit. I know that sounds ridiculous, and you're looking at the footage thinking, like, how is this possible? But I've had a blast with this game, and like I said, with the power-ups, the soundtrack, and the controls, those are the most important parts of the game. I think they can build on top of that. As long as more content in terms of gameplay modes comes out, and even more cars, or even upping it from 4 players to say 16 on bigger maps, that's what I want to see out of this game. The potential is gigantic for this game, and I really hope that they put some more hours into it, and I'm sure they will, based on how many players are into it. So if you want to support it, go and check it out. It is a lot of fun. Thank you for watching. Please hit the bell icon and subscribe to my channel. That way you can get notifications every time I upload a new video. Thank you for supporting my love of taxidermy, and I'll see you in the next episode of JKB.